You're woken up by sunlight, well rested and ready. Without haste, you gather your things. After a couple of breaths, you notice a weird smell, like a roast. No, burning meat, burning rotten meat. Disgust crawls into your conscience. You exit the tent. Your horse is looking around nervously. Your bags are where you had left them. You see an open gate. Uh-oh, that's not good. Both soldiers are standing near a humble pyre. The man in the shirt looks at it contemplatively. Tulia is the first to address you. Galen, she greets you with a nod. We use the horse's manure for the flames, so don't worry about cleaning it up. You see a corpse among the flame. It's possible to tell if it bit a male or female, but it was an adult. The burning process won't be over for a couple hours. Traveler or undead? The latter, a young one. You lacked the new one to understand that she could get inside the camp without climbing. I stabbed her with a spear from a safe distance. She shifts her weight. One more fog, and she'd be a real threat. Even now, it took a couple of hits to knock her down. Sooner or later, every human shell wakes up, gaining more strength with each soul it devours. And each moment it spends in the fog, burning the dead isn't just a religious practice, it's a necessity. Soldiers, priests, village mayors, even road wardens. Making a large pyre takes a lot of time, but it saves lives. Julia calls this undead a she. Most unites hesitate to do so. Time to go. Running away from the reek, huh? I don't blame you. She walks with you for a few steps. Find us here if you need us, or if you learned what happened to Asterion. There's enough ground here for you to rest. Safe travels. These words won't make you stop. An old farewell, mocked in a number of songs, but tales. But yet, you hear no scorn in Tulia's voice. You wonder how many acts of kindness like this one you're going to experience in the days to follow. She returns to the pyre, and I prepare myself for the journey. 42. Okay, use the travel button to see the map and move to another area. Gotcha. You somehow missed the fact that your mount is already saddled and warmed up. You double-check the equipment, but you don't need fixing anything. The soldiers were diligent. Normally, preparing any palfrey for a long journey takes a lot of time. You put on your gambeson, make sure your axe is tightly attached to your belt, and then get in the saddle. The palfrey knicker's ready to leave. It's time for you to get to the crossroads north from here. Let's see what we got. Oh, wow. Okay, hey. Travel forward to continue your journey. Once you're done with the north, speak with Tulia and return to Hollowin. Before I do that, let me take a look at my journal. For my quest. Explore. I have to leave the peninsula on the 40th day of my journey or sooner. So I need to learn everything that there is about this. Find a new life, and then find the original Roadwarden. Okay. Let's go. Let's see what we have. Even at a later hour, you wouldn't expect to meet any travelers in the valley. The warm summer breeze lures your mount forward, but the serene chirping of birds is quickly replaced by the distracting screeches and gurgles, coming from further down the path. Uh-oh. You soon find the pack of four-legged griffins. They're larger than foxes and merge the creatures of birds and fern feast. Each one is of a different size, coat, and colors, and their temperaments are just as varied. Their fronts are covered with vivid feathers, while their rears have darker fur. Their wings are massive, making them impressive jumpers, but they're far too heavy to fly. That's good to know. About 2 dozen beasts are yelling, bawling, and chasing each other around, blocking your path. Shit. Okay. This icon marks the action involves a random chance. You can't enter the forest blindly. If these or other creatures were to chase you, the thicket would be disastrous for your horse. There are reasons why travelers stay as close to the main roads as possible, and why adventurers move in group. Usually the safest approach would be... Well, I have full Nua. Your safe approach would be to stay where you are and just wait for the pack to get hungry. It may, however, take up a couple hours. You're thinking about your conversation with Tuli. You've got a lot to do, and time may be of the essence. Well, we have a spell. You need to rest. Got it. Now grab an amulet and and shape a missile of light, a harmless flare that will frighten them off. You grab one of your oldest amulets, a pendant made of leather and a single dim pearl. The little sphere is covered by cryptic engravings, but if there's any special meaning behind them, you were never able to find out what it could be. Holding the pearl between your fingers, you feel the pleasant warmth. The spell you're about to cast is not much more than a mere illusion, but it takes you a couple of breaths, trying to minimize any risk of failure. Pneuma leaves your shell, formed into a white ball that you barely comprehend. When it falls next to Griffin for a couple of blinks, it emits dazzling lights. The animals squeak and snarl, fleeing in multiple directions at once. The road is now clear. Look at that. I ride forward, enjoying the touch of my pendant. It cools down slowly. That was a smart call. Hey, I got an achievement. New adventure. Okay, let's see what we have. The road splits. According to what soldiers have told you, you may find a safe inn by turning left. The fort to the right is lush, and the trail overgrown. The kids have used this song. How did it go? The harshest pathways lead to the dragon's lair. Those who search the treasure. Those who search for treasure, do you truly dare? Okay, so the right is lush. The signpost in front of you doesn't make your situation much clearer. It was put by someone who can't write, for folks who can't read. Covered in old red paint, it points east. Blood there, as people say, danger to be found. Not a soul to ask for guidance. How's Horsey doing? We're gonna name him Rico. Rico is peaceful as you stroke its mane. Maybe it can't help you choose a path, but you spent many years together. Happy to go on, it takes a couple of steps forward. You spot a few berry shrubs and wild cabbages, but they still need at least 2 weeks to gain maturity. That's something to keep in mind. Okay, so I can either go left, so left would lead me to possibly to the inn, and right would lead me somewhere else. Quick save. Let's go right. The curvy road east is overgrown. Rico trots when it has a chance, but more than often walks, forced to jump over large branches blocking the path. Nearby lake is surrounded by thirsty wildlife. I observe the dark forest, ready to react. Ooh, what's this? A couple of stone slabs were turned into a hut-like shape. One of the ancient chapels raised by the priests of the United Church in the days of few soldiers and even fewer shelters. The dolmens proved to be especially durable, though the conditions they offered were harsh. The main entrance is barely wide enough to let you walk inside. It was meant to keep larger pieces away, including your ball free. You can't spend the night here. Okay. Approach the hourglass carved in stone. It's the most common religious sign of the city folk, adapted by the United Church, Orders of Truth, and the majority of fellowships. It's used in temples during the funeral rites, but also to decorate cockades or jewelry. The winged hourglass, which is that right there, portray the ephemerality of life and the rigidity of time. Impossible, they're made of steel, signifying the strength of humankind's determination and innovation. While I'm not a pious soul, as I'm standing in front of an hourglass, I feel nothing. Rico is playfully poking at the nearby bushes with its nose, ready for the journey. Let's see what's inside. The beam of lights get Beam of lights get through the gaps between the rocks, but you hardly see anything. A torch would fill the place with smoke, but a candle would suffice. You wonder how many travelers were sitting on the cold rock, observing the entrance filled, fighting with their heavy eyelids. Let's see what we can find. What are you looking for, or paying attention to? Let's look at the slab. Even though a part of the ground is covered with a single massive slab, there are parts free of any flooring. You see small soil, small rocks, sand. You find the root of charred wood. Look at the wood. Part of the floor is littered with the remains of an old campfire, but not more than a couple months old. You see dust, burnt bones, and wood. The wall above the spot is covered with soot. Let's look at the soot. You notice sticky soot on the walls. Parts of it cover black marks and pictures, possibly a letter. Examine the letters. You don't find it, or I can't understand you. And black marks. Okay, the black marks. Okay. Look at the campfire. Same thing as before. What about the walls? They're all around you. The entrance. You only see the main entrance. It doesn't let light. There doesn't seem to be much here. Alright. Let's continue down. Okay. Neglected path. Uh-oh. 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 We've got trouble. The neglected path barely finds any space among all the hills, trees, and streams. There's a deer on the ground, lying in a red puddle, surrounded by a small pack of creatures which notice your presence quickly. There's about 8 of them. Okay. With thick furs and shades of brown and gray and black, and hairless faces with small eyes. Large mouths, currently stained with the blood of their prey. Quick save. Some of them moved on all fours, while others comfortably stand on 2 feet. They are 2 or 3 heads shorter than you, but it's your mount which truly towers over them. You see how a couple of the beasts take a few steps back, grunting and glancing at one another. The one with gray fur shouts, and the others move towards the rocks, sticks which are piled on the road. They hold awkwardly, and some struggle to maintain a straight posture, leaning on their new weapons for support. Then, almost all of them spread to your left and right, blending in with the shrubs loudly. Shit. Quick save? Yes. Rico tries to turn around, but loyally follows your direction. Well, okay, there's 2 in front of me, and there's some on my left and right. Look behind you. You see a surprised goblin, which, as far as you can tell, was not a part of the group surrounding the carcass. It's holding a wooden spear, or rather a pointed stick, longer than the creature is. Grab the spear. Ha ha! You grab the spear and struggle a bit to take it away from the goblin. But the way the situation unfolds seems to shock it so much that it lets go of the weapon and jumps away. Landing on all fours, it grunts in awe. The other goblins shout both at you and one another. They suddenly leap forward, trying to get you from multiple directions at once. There's more of them now than at the start, over a dozen. Can't win. Your mount speeds up, though it doesn't have enough space to enter a gallop. You prepare your weapon. While you feel somewhat comfortable with a blade when on foot, fighting from a saddle is completely unfamiliar. The younger goblin attempts to stop your horse, but the strike it receives sends it into a nearby bush, screaming in pain. The gray one, however, manages to grab your boot, and is now trying to keep up with your speed, making one long leap after another. Your attack with the pointed stick almost hits the mark, but the creature makes such unpredictable movements that you struggle to land a good jab. What about spells? We could hit it with magic. Quick save. Aim for the head. You hit it with the pointed stick, not only piercing the beast's skull, but using impact to push it out of your way. It rolls over the road, and your mount runs faster. The tip is covered with blood. Your leg is free, the road is clear. Ride as fast as we can. Ugh, that wasn't very good. For a few more moments, you hear the angry shouts and screeches, but soon after that, it's again only you and your mount. You realize that you still have the goblin spear, a primitive stick pointed, which would be completely useless in most situations. There's a light blue scrap of linen tied to it, just beneath the pointed zip. You wonder why a monster would care about decorating their tool. Maybe it never bothered to get rid of it? Well, let's see. Hey, it's a light spear. Let's take it. Alright, what's down the road? Ooh, that was tense. Alright, we still have 13 hours before dusk. The round pine tree blocks the road. For a wayfarer walking over thin branches at the top isn't much of an issue. Even Rico, led on a rope, could walk around the stump. But a large wagon couldn't move onward in one piece, at least not without detaching the mules, unpacking all the wares, and moving everything with hand. Cutting a tree into pieces would take hours even with proper tools, and you can't hope to move it with just muscles that you and your mount have to offer. Let's at least wash myself. The river is full of life, not only a bit of brown and greenish, but also smelling of algae. It won't help you much. Ah, shit. Alright, let's see what we can find. Let's look at the tree. You walk deeper into the wilderness, searching for the shrubs and trees. You don't find any side paths, nor remains of a camp or hamlet. The first game trail you find has been used exclusively by animals. Alright. In the tree. Oh, one was the forest, one was the tree. The leaves are not completely dry. When you break one of the twigs, it still contains water. But there are no signs of sickness that you can recognize. And while termites and other bugs are still sparse, beneath the trunk there's no blood, no abandoned limbs. And the stump itself, you don't find any marks of a maw or paw. The top is hip high and unnaturally smooth. You could comfortably sit down on it. Okay. And the tracks? In trampled grass, you find two sets of tracks to follow. There are no hoof prints. Their first set is near the destroyed wagon. The wayfarers suddenly stopped. You could see where they made a sharp turn. The second trail is close to the steep tree stump. Most of the marks were left by flat, cheap boots. Not long for suitable walks, but someone was wearing hard, wide heels distorting the ground. Both trails avoid the eastern wilderness. They stick to the main road. And lead you north. They could have belonged to 24 men, maybe more. You need to follow them for a bit, but lose them once there's... You follow them for a bit, but lose them once there's no mud or tree needles to follow. And the wagon itself? The planks are still firm, but there's no mustiness in the air. The vehicle needs just a push to fall to pieces, like a child's toy with nothing to keep the parts together. There are ways to construct a wagon with just wood, leather, and fiber, but you find the marks of hinges, braces, nails, and clamps, which are all now gone. The wheels are missing their steel rims. You find only one linen bag, empty and moist. You can't estimate how deep the tracks are. The ground was hard, and so the cart's weight wasn't a significant factor. Okay, and the river itself? It only takes 2 steps to disappear in the deep water. The rocky bank smells fresh and is filled with the sound of frogs, insects, and birds. It's not a good spot to quench your thirst. The beds of long kelp, pulled by the flow of the river, are crowded with fish and 4-legged creatures that you don't even recognize. You keep an eye on the land. There's no carcass in sight, no signs of shell that would be left nearby. Okay, in the bushes? There's an arrow. There's no berries here, only broken twigs, fallen leaves, and trampled grass. You notice the pointy arrow made by human hand, with a head made of horn and black-orange fletching. You don't know what type of bird would have such feathers. You see no arrow marks around, not even on the wagon. And the western hill? This isn't killing time, is it? Yeah, a little bit. The rocky wall isn't much of a challenge. The top of the hill is covered with short grass and sparse trees. You notice a couple of bushes with good view of the road, and just next to the remains of a campfire. Charred pieces of wood, ash, bird bones, trampled grass, and broken earthenware bottle. Follow the deepest tracks leading to the soft earth. Someone jumped down, or at least stopped stepping on the grass. And the road? The road here is already overgrowing, fading away, but is in no worse shape than other parts around the southeastern route. An alternate path that formed around the blockade. It sounds like they raided the wagon. Because this said was unnaturally smooth. There's an arrowhead. It wasn't broken by a monster or wind. It was cut down. Why was the wagon abandoned? He had no time to move it, so they left it behind. It looked like, well, it wasn't goods. It wasn't anything heavy. So it sounded like it was just basic belongings. And what happened to the owners? It sounds like they were probably taken north. You'd think that this tree was cut down to set up an ambush. The cart, which transported someone's belongings, was left behind by the owners who had no time to move it. Its owners were taken north. Because there's no signs of a battle. Well, you can't sure what really happened here. You don't think there's much left for you to find. Okay, let's see. Let's keep going north. As you ride uphill, the forest is sparse. Soon after, the tree roots tear the path apart. The road is coated with branches, acorns, and chestnuts, and some seedlings have already been broken through the pitted surface of the road. If left undisturbed for another year or two, the forest will reclaim this place. Finally, you ride upward again. The plants are getting smaller, the road more rocky. Is that a good sign? Oh, hello. What's this? Well, the hills are full of life. You don't hear anything coming from the watchtower. Its upper level lacks a wooden platform from which guards could fire their crossbows or drop stones on opponents below. So this place was not meant to be used in combat, but rather as a shelter from claws and fangs. Such structures can be found in especially untamed parts of the Dragonwoods. Still got 11 hours. Used occasionally by travelers or patrolling squads. Since the end of the war, the cities can't find enough people and dragonbones to keep them in good shape. You see no footsteps, no lights, no fresh trash or latrine. The birds are cleaning their feathers at the top of the tower while the branches are moved by fierce cold wind. Alright, let's see if we can find tracks. Tracks lead here through the narrow gate, then west. The hard heels are especially noticeable. Interesting. And the entrance? Take a look at Rico. If necessary, it could bow its head and walk inside. This place should make a decent shelter for the both of you. The planks are strong, heavy, and well protected from wind and rain. And when you knock, it seems to be thick. While the door shakes at your push, it won't open. Defensive structures usually have a locking bar on the inner side, but you see a large keyhole. You walk around the tower, making sure there are no open windows or other entrances. It doesn't look like you can get in without destroying the door, and doing so would make a potential entryway for the wild creatures. Well, we're not going to break it. Let's see if we can find anything inside. You'll kneel down and take a peek. There's nothing in the hole. Yeah, shit. But the room is dark. Tiny bits of light passing through the crevices of the window. You see shapes of wooden furniture like tables, casks, and a ladder. But the only movement you notice belongs to the dust dancing in the sunbeams. And the crossroads. Okay. Let's see what we can find. The blanks and letters are damaged by decades of rains, frost, borers, and claws. You scratch down some of the moss. There are 3 planks on the signpost, each pointing in a different direction. The letters don't tell you anything. There are 3 planks on the signpost, each one of them pointing in a different direction. The one on the top points both south and north, but there are no pictures that would tell you anything more than that. The plank beneath it points east. There's a word written in blue paint. The arrow here looks more like a magic wand. The bottom plank has a picture of the tall tower surrounded by little houses and points west. The wood is covered in red paint, suggesting danger. Okay. The campfire spot? You see a shattered bowl and remains of a meal from many years ago. However, the firewood and the lonely stool are not too old. You don't doubt the watchtower seems less threatening to wayfarers than the wilderness around it, even when it's locked. Well, I don't have any raw meat, so maybe in the spruce trees? It must be a human-made corpse. Only the smallest of spruces are out of order, born of wild seeds. The largest trees are as tall as the tower itself, which surely doesn't help those who were meant to observe their surroundings. There are also some stumps, most of which used to belong to the saplings. These trees were most likely meant to be sold to carpenters and coopers, but they have been left alone many years ago. In the copse, you find wild fennels and lettuce thriving in shadows, and there are pears and berries growing among the nearby trees and shrub. At the entrance? Okay. Signpost, which I've already done. Setting up a firm wall in a place like this is a bit unusual. It goes on for no more than 40 feet, until it connects with a natural rock face. Such a structure could be found near the city, allowing to stop any travelers and search through their belongings or request a fee. But in the middle of nowhere, deers or other animals used to running here with no hindrance must have been more than annoyed. A risky investment. He touched the gate, made of a high-quality wood, previously soaked in oil, but now mostly wiped off. It was left open, and you don't see any wooden bar that would be used to lock it. You try to move the cold planks buried in dried-out mud, but with no luck. It requires some wary digging. Okay. Let's see. Where am I right now? Okay, so north, east, and west. Okay. Points south and north, but there are no pictures, so I don't know really. East is blue. The bottom plank points west and suggests a tower surrounded by little houses, suggesting red. Okay, so east sounds like it might be a little safer, but west might be. Okay, let's quick save. As for traveling, let's head west. The path leads downward through the hills. The forest gets thicker and the signs of human touch are rare. The lone large boulder surely draws attention. You can't guess its age, but the path around suggests it was passed plenty of times already. You stop Rico to take a closer look. The remains of red paint are covering the eastern side. It's the same message as the one you saw at the southern crossroads. Don't enter, danger ahead. I'm not ready yet. Search for the tracks you found at the watchtower. The hard heels can't be mistaken. The travelers didn't mask their step. Well, let's see what we can find. I need to know. Okay, so that's about where we are. The stream ahead can be crossed by a humble ford made of 100 rocks that can be used to reach from the bottom to the surface, but now it is partially demolished, either by time or a living creature. For a rider, crossing it would be much of a problem, but most travelers would have to take off their pants and shoes. Moving an entire wagon, the water's clean, a good watering spot for Rico. Let's see, I've got about 10 hours. Possibly? I could spend an hour. You let Rico graze and drink by the stream. You wander along the edge of the dark forest on one side, a colorful meadow on the other side. Smaller than your head. Carrying them makes you tired quickly. Shit. After you're done, the deepest holes are now filled by your rocks. For now, it's enough. Let Rico take a break. Where am I? Okay, I just crossed that. That's a safe water source. Or... The colors of leaf range from greens to purples and overwhelm you with shadows. The stems of the shrubs twisted in all directions, seeking the slightest scraps of sunlight. The trees are not too tall, but their trunks are as wide as buildings. The neglected road has been carved into the thicket. At an inch at a time, a corridor of plants with a floor made of pebbles. They give way to saplings and vines. From time to time, you pass by many turns, relics left by roaming dragons, unicorns, and trolls. Some of them still used by beasts, boars, striped cats, or packs of goblins. The birds are sharing their songs and cheerful forever. Whenever necessary, a clear thicket in Rico's way. You reach a gap at the tunnel of plants. The meadow nourishes a lonely tree, growing in the shadow of a rocky hill, surrounded by humble grasses. Near the tree roots, a wolf without fur is feasting on a human corpse, unaware of your presence. Look around. You see no other creatures. The road in front of you is passable, and the birds in the sky seem harmless. And let's look at the wolf. Standing on all fours, crouching forward, with blood dripping from its massive canines. Its head, and especially its jaw, are wide and long, like those of a horse. Its brown shell is muscular, with pronounced shoulder blades. The hair resembling your arms, and a tuft of black fur at the end of its foot-long tail. The beast turns its head towards you, its eyes shining like charcoal. The corpse. You don't see much from afar. It's in one piece with blood-soaked clothing torn into pieces, indistinguishable from the loose flaps of the skin. It has no sacks, bags, or equipment, but you spot a trail of blood leading into the trees. The creature must have dragged the shell from deeper in the woods. And the tree? Oh, shit. I have to fight it. Rico takes a few steps forward, too scared to stay at your side, but too smart to enter the forest by itself. Yes. You slide beneath jumping creature as it's in the air, aiming at the place where your throat used to be. Losing balance, you take a swing, but find only air. Then your knee burrows in the air. You hit the ground with your face. A cricket runs from your mouth. I get up. Shit. The beast walks around you with a lowered head, seeking an opportunity. You can't tell anything. Try and tempt it. Shit! Quick load. Yeah. Try it one more time. Okay. Okay, jump forward. Damn it. Yeah, quick load. That's the no-no. I already lost. After its sidestep. Ah, shit. Yeah, let me replay. There we go. Alright. Well, that didn't work. Yeah, we're not gonna. He spares you a glance, but doesn't follow you. I wish I could help, but I'm not ready for a fight. Not yet. Not this fight. Okay. 9 hours before dusk. Seems like there's gaps in between. Your eyes wander between the walls of trees and shrubs on one side, and dirty pond on the other. The road itself is wide, either covered with soggy legs that keep the ground from turning into mud. It's breaking under your mount's hooves, letting out what sounds like a sigh of relief. The water insufferably seeks of carrion, and is covered with a blanket of green plants and white flowers that draw out countless... Yeah, no, that's bad. Rico tries to get familiar with the unusual pavement and speeds up, only to jump over a fallen trunk blocking your path. Once it lands, it breaks one of the logs in half. Soon after, you reach a massive black saurian. Oh, no. Resting on the ground, enjoying the light at the edge of the forest, seems to be ignoring your presence. Once again, Rico canters. Alright, I trust it. Once the monster raises its head, you're already in the air. The beast pushes itself away from the ground with its forelimb, trying to catch any chunk of flesh with its massive jaws, but you safely hit the ground and return to a trot slowly. Alright. Is there any other saurians? Jesus. How far am I? Seems like I'm just going into one massive circle. The road is bright, empty, surrounded by sparsely growing trees. Gentle hills and meadows leads you to a cairn, a pile of rocks ranging in size from your abdomen to your fist. There's also quite a few tiny pebbles. A narrow, hardly passable trail leads south, but likely won't survive another year without travelers. I look for the tracks that I found in the fallen tree. Okay. Without a doubt, the travelers were here. It was led by the person at Hard Heels, though there are more tracks around, both older and younger. Alright, let's look at the cairn. It's wider than two people standing side by side and taller than Rico. The grass surrounding it tightly. It must be years old, but could just be as well be older than any village in the north. You find rocks in many colors, including red, cream, white, black, and blue. Many dotted and mixed ones. While the cairn stays firmly beneath your touch, it'd be easy to shatter with a pickaxe or the single swipe of a dragon. You also notice pieces of chicken bones pressed among the rocks. Unfortunately, no coins. Use my amulets to see if this place stores any Numa. You unpack the wooden spheres, pleasantly smooth and light. The entire set fits into your palm of your hand. You place them in various spots in the cairn, on nearby ground just in case. All you can do now is wait, so you spend a few minutes making sure that no creature tries to sneak up behind napping Rico. When you gather your amulet, they're not much warmer than your skin. The spells filling the rocks are either weak or dwindling from age. Alright. Well, I could take the narrow path south. Let's continue on west. They soon turn north into an old game trail, wide enough for your mount to enter the thicket. After a few minutes and with little effort, you reach an even wider trail. You get back into the saddle and ride uphill, following the convenient rocky trail covered in sunlight, cleared of plants. Once you get to the top, you look around. From here, you get a good view of the heart of woods and spot smoke coming from the villages far in the distance. The further path ends at the ravine. You look over the edge at the gentle brook far below. The hole is too wide to be crossed with a jump, even for Rico. You narrow your eyes, and on the other side is a simple bridge made of logs and ropes, now rolled up and resting gently on a green shrub. Shit. How much time do I have? 8 hours, 15 minutes. I kind of want to go. Shit. I should. In fact... Let's return. Moving downhill is filled with sweat and blood, as well as disappointment. To lead your palfrey down, you are forced to seek the gentlest slopes and ledges. Your arms are burning from swinging the axe. Thankfully, the small critters stay away from you, and you can rest at the crystal clear water while Rico quenches its thirst. Finally, you get back to the main road, which leads right back to the forest. At least I can use the bridge on the way back. The trail is canopied by overhanging trees, so narrow that your mount would struggle to turn around. Staying on foot, you grab the lead rope and follow the corridor marked in the lush thicket. You try to ignore the scent of rotting leaves. Soon after, the path widens a bit. You notice a shell larger than your own torso. Its 8 legs are as long as you are, clinging to a tree that's on your way. Oh no. You freeze. The dark, hairy thorax matches the browns of the plants. Alright, examine the spider. Look at the spider. It's large enough to hunt for humans. Its 8 legs are as long as you are, clinging to a tree that's in your way. And look at the plants. You can't just walk squeeze by the spider without drawing its attention. The thicket is pretty much impassable. However, the plants around trails are pruned. Look at the trail. Look at the footprints. Crouch, some of the prints are fresh, yet there are no signs of combat by the spiders. Look at the hideout. Get out of here. It's nothing here. Continue my journey. Where are we? Every minute or so, you get lost in the dense woods. When possible, you stick to the remains of the beaten path, clearing the overgrown thicket that blocks your way. But it would take many more travelers to sustain such a trail. The land around you may lack greens, but is far from being empty. The fallen boughs and dead stumps are slowly devoured by ants and mushrooms, a web-like labyrinth with walls, while the white termites, larger than your hand, continue their never-ending march. Their guard notices your presence, but simply form a warning line in front of their workers. The trees are taller than the temple in the city, with trunks resembling the legs of giants. The shadows they cast are like a carpet, and the few beams of light nourish the sparse bushes and ferns, the only plants that aren't choked by the rotting late summer leaves, shaped like two squares as large as your face. Now that I'm more familiar, I may be able to find a smoother path. Jesus! How far am I going? The forest gives way to rocks and green hills, but among the tall trees are numerous monkeys sitting in small groups, loud yet shorter than half your size. They distort the green leaves with red, brown, white, and blue fur. As you approach their territory, their excitement grows. They climb up and down the tree trunks, sway on the vines, and jump between branches, or hang down, putting to use their long tails. They throw at you countless angry glances and grunts, but also cones, branches, and chestnuts. A piece of their fresh feces lands close to Rico, but their pack's aim is rather miserable. Any spells? Yeah. You gotta deal with it. I'm already dirty. You try to shield yourself with your cloak, but when you enter an avalanche of missiles, one of the rocks painfully hits your arm. Soon after that, your shoulder blocks something from... You rush Rico, which is more than happy to follow your command. The monkeys follow you, swinging beneath the trees until you reach the edge of their territory, letting out triumphant shouts. Not worth it.